Good evening, everyone. Praise the Lord. I'm excited to be back. This is Psychoeducation on Salem Media. And today we will be talking about understanding mental health or just understanding mental wellness. And I believe we will have an opportunity to get to know ourselves better, get to understand ourselves better, and just be able to walk in our lives, understanding what are these challenges that we go through. So my name is Anne Karambu Mwangi. I'm a counseling psychologist. I work with Salem Consultants. Salem Consultants is a holistic wellness consultant where we share and help people navigate through life. It is not just about that you have a mental health challenge, but it is more of being able to be a productive person. Even when you are not mentally unwell, it is important to just seek counseling services. It is an opportunity to just get to know yourself better, be able to tap into your potential. Sometimes we are not able to reach to our full potential because there are things that hinder us. Sometimes it is pain, sometimes it's lack of self-awareness, other times it is just things that we go through every other day, and they hinder our walk and understanding. So on this platform, we'll be here every Tuesday. You can feel free to bring in topics that you would want us to converse about, especially in the area of mental health. So we will try our best to be here every other Tuesday, and just make sure that in 1 hour, be able to discuss a few things concerning our mental wellness, as our target is to make sure that our lives are changed, our lives are transformed, we are living our full potential, because there are so many things that stand in our way of being able to fulfill our full potential. So I'll be talking today about mental wellness, and I'll be sharing some slides with us here on mental wellness. Allow me to share that. Good. So as you can see there, we are holistic wellness consultants, and our some of the services, of course, that we offer is counseling services for adolescents counseling. We offer child psychology. We do psychoeducation to our children, our teenagers, our youth, career guidance, matters of mental wellness, a lot that we can be able to discuss in the area of mental wellness. So today we will be understanding mental health. On that image there, you can see in the mind, there's a few things that are written there in the brain of that person, and it's just mentioning something to do with the mental illnesses that are associated with our mental wellness. We talk about anxiety, there is phobias, there is grief, there is post-traumatic stress, there is shame, there is panic, there is depression. All these things affect our mental wellness, or they affect how our mind works. Allow me, when we're just at that point, to just explain why mental wellness is key. Everything that happens to us begins from our mind. Everything that we do, everything that we are, ideas, great innovations, everything begins from the mind. Even people who have done many things in this life, they begin from the point of the mind. So then it means if my mind is not well, if I am not thinking well, if I am stressed up, if there is something that is hindering my mental capacity, then it means I'm not able to tap into my potential. Some of the things, of course, that will hinder our processing, being able to process things in our mind are things like grief, just like it's written there. When I have anxiety over something, maybe I am not comfortable with who I am. I'm not comfortable with my looks. I may not be comfortable with maybe how people view me. So such things will hinder me to be able to tap into my full potential, because the potential of a person is in our mind. Our potential is in our mind. So it is how well I am able now to tap into that potential and be able to process it so that I can be able to share it with the world. Now, when I am not comfortable, when I'm not okay in the mind, it means then it will affect everything concerning me. I may be a very good worker at work. I may be a very good teacher in school. I may be even a very good doctor, but I have this challenge in my mind. I have this deficiency of maybe not believing in myself, or of having anxiety, or there's some pain that I have dealt with and I have not been able to resolve it. When all those things are combined in my life, they're going to affect how I perform. So that is why then our mental health is key. Again, as we talk about holistic wellness, we also say that, yes, I may be physically fit. I may do my exercises. I may be able to maybe even have a spiritual walk with God, and I'm okay in those two areas. But when my mental status is not okay, then it comes and affects also my physical health, and it will also affect my spiritual wellness. So for the three to be able to be a whole, I have to take care of my mental health too. Again, the reason as to why we talk about mental wellness is issues like the fact that mental health has a way it affects our physical health. There are people who will be having pains on their joints, pain on the back, consistent headaches, but all these things are associated with something that is happening in the mind. So you go to the hospital, you're being treated for a sickness, which is physical, but it is a mental problem. So when we are able to take care of our mental wellness, then we will also take care of our physical health. And the good thing is that we will also take care of our spiritual wellness. We will be able to connect with God even in a better way, because now I am not having a conflict in my mind of who really God is. I hope you have been able to understand that introduction as we get into it. So we are saying that it is the state of being well in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively, and is able to contribute to his or her community. I said it's a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities. Remember, I said the potential of a person is in the mind. Let me have the example of an architect, or maybe when I want to build a house. If I want to build a house, I will have first a mental picture. So if it is the mental picture, then it means that every single idea, everything that happens in this life begins in the mind. So for me to be able to realize my full potential, I have to take care of my mind. I have to take care of my mental status. Now, stress is normal. Stress is normal. We can get physical stress, we can get mental stress, we can get stress of any kind. It is normal. So a person who is well mentally is able to handle stress and handle it right. when someone is not mentally well, when it comes to managing stress, they are not able to manage it well. So stress becomes an avenue for them to get sick. So if I go through something that it has disturbed my mind, instead of being able to go through it and cope through that stressful situation, then it brings me down, or it destroys my life, or I think of killing myself, or I'll think, or maybe I'll even sleep and I'm not able to do anything, or I just sleep in the house and I will just remain there and not being able to work. The next thing is that after you've taken care of your mental health, the next thing that you're supposed to take care of is making sure that you're working positively. You are able to live a positive life. When our mental status is not okay, what we find ourselves doing is becoming very negative. We become too negative. So that when I have a conversation about myself, everything I am saying is negative. So I find myself all the time is looking at life on the negative side. That means that I may be having some challenges with my mental wellness. And of course, the other one is the moment now I have been able to tap into my abilities. The next one, I'm been able to cope with my with the normal stresses of life, which are normal. I am able to be positive in life. Then it means I can now be able to contribute to society. The abilities that I have within me, I can now be able to share them with the world because I have taken care of my mental health. I hope we've gotten that explanation, which is very key, because if we don't understand that, then we will not understand mental health. So if you said I'll take care of my abilities, I'm able to tap into my abilities, which is more of in the mind. It is said that we use less than 10% of our brain capacity. One of the reasons why we use very little of that potential, it is because, sorry for that. So the reason as to why we are not able to receive that, it is because we find ourselves not being able to tap into our potential because there is so much in our mind, there is so much in our brain that will affect our wellness. So when I am not able to reconcile with who I am, then I will not be able to serve the world the way I ought to. So the next thing is, of course, positive state of mind and body, and feeling safe and able to cope with a sense of connection with people, communities, and wider environment. So I said positive state of mind and body, and feeling safe and able to cope with a sense of connection with people, communities, and the wider environment. Now, when my mind is stable, it means connecting with other people becomes easy. So one of the hindrances of our social connection, how we connect with other people, it is when our mental status is not okay. We will have a negative way of connecting with one another. We will not be able to relate with people the way we ought to because our mind is not okay. So we maybe have negative feelings about people. We will look at people negatively. We will think that people are not worth to be connected with. Of course, all those challenges that come when I don't understand or I am not able to connect with other people well. So this involves emotional, psychological, and social well-being, as it affects how we think, feel, and act. This involves emotional, psychological, and social well-being as it affects how we think, feel, and act. So we are talking about mental wellness. So when mental health wellness has to do with how we think, how we feel, that touches into the emotions, and also it affects behavior. That is how we act. So unfortunately, people are able only to see our actions. So sometimes people will respond to our behavior. People will respond to our action. People maybe will be uncomfortable with how we react to people. But the problem is not that you realize the challenge is in the thinking. It is in the mind. That is where the problem is. That the thinking affects our feelings. Our feelings affects our behavior. So you realize for me to be able to correct behavior, I have to go back to the mind and take care of my mental wellness so that I can be able to impact my behavior, so that I can be able to live life the way I ought to. I hope we are together on this, and that we are understanding the importance of this conversation that we are having today. So there, of course, are types of mental disorders. So when I am mentally disturbed, there are things that will happen in my life that will even now turn from just a mental disturbance, it goes to a sickness. So the ones I'm mentioning here, and I'll just flip through them. I will not explain much. We'll be able to explain further. There are things, of course, I will have challenges with like anxiety, panic disorder, bipolar disorder. I know this is a topic that has been mentioned a lot in our time today. There is depression, there is eating disorder, there is schizophrenia, there is substance abuse. Allow me to say that excessive consumption of alcohol and drugs is a mental disorder. Addictions, sexual addictions, those are mental disorders. It is something I am uncomfortable with who I am. I am uncomfortable with how I feel. I am uncomfortable with my life. So that one affects, I want to use maybe that substance to be able to help heal or nurse the feeling I'm having. Of course, that image there, just mentioning a few of the mental illnesses that we may be able to find ourselves suffering from when we don't take care of our mental health. So those ones are explaining the mental disorders. I don't want to look at them today. We will be able to get into it deeper than that. You can see some eating disorders there. Remember, there is a distortion in my mind. So even the way I view myself, the way I think about myself becomes a challenge. So I want us to look at, I want us to look at the symptoms. Sorry for that. Ooh. Seems like it is decided not to go the way I want it to. So I want us to look at the symptoms. How can I be able to tell that I'm having a challenge with my mental wellness? How can I be able to tell that I'm having a challenge with my mental health? Sorry, I want to go back and share once again. Okay, so of course the first. So I may be having issues of course, legal and financial problems. We are talking of sometimes I find myself getting arrested every other time, or stealing, or fighting with people, anger, bitterness. These ones might, of course, expose me to finding myself, putting myself in danger. Those are the legal and financial problems. Using money the way I'm not supposed to, or just using money to feel good, or using money to heal my self-esteem. I am uncomfortable with who I am, so I buy things to feel good. The issues of poverty. No, I feel like these are not the symptoms that I am reading. Sorry. Okay, so the symptoms here, so we are talking of feeling sad or down all the time, feeling sad or down all the time, feeling confused, uh, thinking or reduced ability to concentrate, excess fears or worries, or extreme feelings of guilt. Then there is extreme mood change. Most of the times you're feeling very high, the other times you're feeling very low and low energy, not wanting to be involved in anything, withdraw from friends and activities. These are some of the things that can be able to tell me that I may be having a challenge. Significant tiredness, low energy, or problems. Remember, when you have one or two of these, it may not be a problem. But when you have at least 5 of the symptoms that I have given here happening at the same time, then it means you may be having a mental challenge. I hope you've understood that. There are feelings of sadness, confused thinking, excessive fear, extreme mood change, withdrawal from friends or activities that you loved, tiredness, and of course, low energy. And then we have detachment from reality, that is being paranoid. You're telling people things that don't exist, or you're seeing things that other people cannot see. Maybe you're walking on the road and you're telling people, I can see a big hole before us. Those are, of course, things that may happen. That is now when your mind is almost now moving out of the reality. Inability to cope with daily problems or stress. So if there's a simple stressing situation, then it messes your whole life. Then there is trouble understanding or relating to situations and to people. There's a problem with alcohol and drug use. I said excessive use of alcohol and drugs is a mental disorder. It is good to get to understand that. I know we are living in a time where people really love the drink and love their bottle, but the truth is you may be nursing some mental health issues. Change in eating habits. Uh, it can be either, it can take the shape of overeating or the shape of underfeeding. It can take both, either overeating or underfeeding. Good. The other one is excessive anger, of course, and hostility or violence. Every time you just find yourself wanting to fight. Or when someone talks to you, you just want to be rude. That may be an indicator of an instability that is happening in the mind, and therefore then the fighting the violence. And then, of course, now the suicidal feelings, that is feeling like you would want to kill yourself. So what are the causes of mental health, mental illnesses? They are inherited traits. That is, if a person maybe in your family had mental health issues, It may be in your genes, and it does not mean because someone has a mental health issue that you will automatically be also have the same. What it means is that you may be predisposed because of the genetic connection, that there are genes maybe in your family that predispose you to mental health issues. What that means, it is not that obviously because someone has mental health issues, you will also have the same. So when you know that you have someone who has mental health issues in your family, of course, you take care of yourself more. Allow me to take the example of if we have a challenge with diabetes in our family. So if my mother had diabetes, it means then I have to take care of my eating habits, because then, because of my genetic predisposition, I may be more predisposed to the diabetes because of the genetic predisposition. It is the same with mental health issues. So it means if I have that predisposition in the family, I need to take care of myself more. I hope you've understood that. Then there is, of course, environmental exposure before birth. Exposure to stressors, inflammatory conditions, toxins, alcohol, or drugs while in the womb can sometimes be linked to mental illness. I know, again, I said we are living in a time when we have loved the bottle so much. And sometimes even when someone is expectant, you find them continuing maybe to use drugs or to use alcohol. That can predispose the child to mental health issues when they are born. The reason as to why we have to really take care of ourselves, it's because sometimes we may become expectant without knowing. So it means you might feed your baby alcohol for 6 months without being aware, or you may find yourself exposing your child to those drugs for maybe even 3 months without being aware. So it is important to know that when we predispose our children, it can affect them in the future. I hope that is understood. Then, of course, there is the brain chemistry. The neurotransmitters are naturally occurring brain chemicals that carry signals to other parts of the brain and body. When neuro network involving these chemicals are impaired, the function of nerve receptors and nerve systems change, leading to depression and other emotional disorders. Now, this aspect of brain chemistry is treated by psychiatrists because they are trained to be able to take care of the part of the brain that may be affected. That's why in case we have a challenge with our mental health issues, it is not good to self-medicate. I know sometimes, of course, we want to self-medicate on many things. So the same also with mental health issues. Again, we shouldn't also self-medicate. I know nowadays I'm hearing people saying that I have bipolar, and of course there is nothing that has been, there is no diagnosis that has been done to really ascertain that someone has that bipolar, but you still hear people talk about it. So what are some of the risk factors? What are some of the things that may predispose me to mental health illnesses? History of mental illness in a blood relative. We said, of course, being predisposed by genetic predisposition. Then stressful life situations such as financial problems, a loved one's death or divorce or breakup, or just being neglected while growing up. All those things would predispose us to mental health issues. And ongoing chronic medical conditions such as cancer. Of course, someone who has been sick for a long time can be exposed to mental health issues. Then there is also the issue of brain damage, traumatic experiences like accidents, like the fires that are happening, maybe the example of California, where there are fires right now. We had cases of floods here in Kenya. We've had cases, of course, of things like the post-election violence that happens and leaves some people displaced. All those traumatic experiences can predispose someone to mental health challenges. Of course, use of alcohol or recreational drugs, childhood history or abuse or neglect. We are talking about rape, abuse, which is emotional, physical, or even cyberbullying. Nowadays, there's a lot of cyberbullying that is happening in our time. It might not have been a challenge maybe in the past, but it is right now. It can predispose us to mental health issues. Then, of course, if you had previous mental health challenges. I hope we are connecting with this. So what are some of the complications? Now, what happens if I get mental illnesses? What happens to me? So of course, there is unhappiness and decreased enjoyment of life. There is family conflicts, relationship difficulties, social isolation. Most of the times you just want to be alone. Problem with tobacco and alcohol and other drugs. There is missed work or school or other problems related to work or school. Remember, this information may not affect me directly. It may not be affecting me, but it can be affecting maybe a neighbor, a friend, a colleague, someone close to me. So once we know, then we can be able to assist other people. There is legal and financial problems, poverty and homelessness. Remember, my mind is not working well, so I may not be able to be as productive as I ought to. And of course, if I'm not able to work, then it means I'll be homeless. Sometimes I may find myself not having income that can be able to sustain me. Then there is, of course, self-harm. This comes in terms of, you find some people who cut themselves, especially on the wrist area. There are some who will cut their body just to see blood coming out because of the pain, the emotional pain they are feeling within. There is weakened immune system, so your body has a hard time resisting infections. So you may be having other physical illnesses that will come associated with the mental illness. Then there are heart diseases. Of course, we are talking of hypertension, which of course will be caused by the pain or the challenges, mental illnesses that we may be going through. So why is it that then I am supposed to take care of my mental wellness? I think we've looked at the causes, we've looked at the symptoms, we've looked at the complications. So why then am I supposed to take care of my mental wellness? Good mental health will enable you to realize your own abilities, cope with stress and challenges of life, engage in productive work, contribute to your society, a community. I remember that is what we began with. Tap into my abilities, meaning there is so much potential within us. I said, it is said that an average person, and this is one person who is really doing very well, uses up to 10% of their brain capacity. Meaning, if we are able to realize our full potential, then we can be able to do so much. But when my mental status is not okay, it means I can't tap into my abilities. Can cope with stress, sorry, and challenges of life. You can engage in productive work and contribute to the community. So how can I be able to get to this? Allow me not to look into this today so that we now look, next week we will be here again. We will be understanding the mental health, the mental illnesses, and then now we will start working towards mental wellness. How can I be able to achieve that mental wellness? So for today, we can leave it there where we are able to understand our wellness and be able to smile like that person there on the picture and change from that person who is ever sad. So thank you so much, and thank you for joining. I appreciate that you were able to, we called upon you and you joined, and thank you so much. I pray that this is going to be an opportunity to get to know ourselves better and live to our full potential. God bless you so much, and thank you. I'll be handing it over to my co-host, Amy, who is going to take a few questions and responses from us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam K, for that wonderful lesson. I believe some of us felt like we are back in class, learning all about mental health and just being able to demystify that. First of all, our potential begins in our minds. Just like you said, if you are building a house, you first of all envision it in your mind, and then you can bring it to life. So thank you for that particular lesson. And I know it is something that we are willing to learn and just to get to understand, especially for next week's lesson, where we will be talking about the various mental illnesses and just how to understand whether we've been using these terminologies wrong, or whether this is something that we actually understand as we talk about them. So thank you so much for that particular lesson. So maybe we can just look into the questions that have been sent to us, and you can help us to understand better. So we have a question here that says, are mental health struggles related to spiritual things? Can someone pray for me to get better, or is this a myth?
Yes, kindly come again.
Okay. The question is, are mental health struggles related to spiritual things? And can someone pray for me to get better?
I think when I was doing my introduction, I said when we talk about holistic wellness, our spiritual wellness has its own component because it serves the spirit. The spirit does not serve the mind. The same way, if I am having a wound on my hand, I cannot go, when I am bleeding, I will not go to a pastor to pray for me for the wound to stop bleeding. Because that is a physical illness. I will go to a doctor to be to be dressed up so that the
Mm,
bleeding stops. So the same way, if I have a mental illness, I need a mental health expert to be able to take care of my health the same way I go to the doctor to treat my physical health. There is the place of the spiritual aspect of our lives. The same way we are able to incorporate the spiritual aspect into our physical health, it is the same way we are supposed to incorporate it in our spirit, in our mental illness. So I will say let us use the experts for what they are supposed to handle.
mm,
I know we are coming from a place where mental health issues were looked at as demonic attacks. And I will say it is because mental awareness was not as much as it is right now. So then people used to remember anything we don't understand, we call it a demon. So that is how the explanation of mental illnesses brought the aspect of demonic. So it is good to go to the right expert. And I am not disputing that you can be prayed for and healed. Just the same way when we are sick in our body, we can be prayed for and we get healed, but there is the place of a doctor. The same way there is a place of a mental health expert. Allow me to use an example, Amy.
Yes.
I have anger issues. And these anger issues are associated with accumulated pain that I have gone through over the years. Sometimes even when I pray over it, I still find the anger coming because I have not looked into the root. I have not worked on the root cause of this anger. So what happens is I'll remain very frustrated because I am trying to do all these things, but I cannot see change. Allow me to leave it there, but there is the place of the spiritual aspect. I believe in our consecutive conversations, we will bring in the part of what is this, so that I am whole enough. What is the place of my spiritual walk? How does it make me a whole person when I take care of my spiritual aspect?
Wow. That's such a very simple answer. However, I think it has landed so well. The fact that if you have a bleeding wound, you do not just go and pray for it, but you find an expert who can help you through getting better in that particular area is the same way we should carry that forward into our mental wellness. Wow, that was good. Another question that we have here is it possible to have 100% good mental health?
Yes, it's possible, but having 100% mental health does not mean that you will not have challenges. It just means that you are able to cope with challenges. And that's why we need to have a mental status that is stable, so
Yeah.
that now when we are faced by challenges, we have the capacity to handle them because we are mentally fit. So mental wellness is not absence of challenges. And I think that is where there is a challenge, because we imagine if I heal mentally, I will not have stress. Or when I heal mentally, I will not face anger issues. Or when I am healed, I will not have issues of unforgiveness. That is not what it means. I am healing so that I can be able to now cope with life with more stamina. It's like I am building mental muscle, if there is anything like that.
Wow, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. Mental wellness is not is not absence of challenges. It's the
Mm-hmm.
ability to cope with the stressors that come. Wow. Interesting. So it's kind of like understanding that you just the same way you can have a cold and then you get better from the cold, it can come back, but you now understand what to do. Like you learn how to wear your sweater before it gets cold. You learn how to, cover yourself up whenever you start feeling like there's symptoms coming of that flu coming back, right? Or did
Mm-hmm.
I get my own things?
Okay, let me bring this example. Now, if I am mentally fit,
Yes.
does it mean that I will never lose a loved one?
No, you will. at some point.
If I am mentally fit, does it mean I'll never get sick
You will at some point.
physically?
You will.
So it simply means I will, when those challenges come, I will have better stamina to handle them than I was handling them before.
Nice. So it is possible to have 100% mental wellness, but it doesn't mean that challenges are not going to come your way. You'll just be able to deal with them in a better way. Thank you for that. Another question that came through was, what are some everyday practices to avoid or to incorporate to my daily routine for good mental health?
The beginning point to mental wellness is self-awareness. We can do breathing exercises, we can run, we can meditate, we can do all those other things. So all those ones I mentioned are very important. But the beginning point of mental wellness is self-awareness. It is the ability to answer the question, why am I feeling the way I am feeling? It is the ability to answer the question, why do I behave the way I do? It is the ability to answer, who am I? It is the ability to answer, where am I coming from? Why do I relate with people the way I do? Why am I always moody? Once you are able to answer those questions, you are on your journey to mental wellness. So we can do the breathing exercises. We can do the exercise of course, being able to make sure that we meditate and have positive vibes. But if we do not know who we are, it becomes very hard to achieve mental wellness. So the beginning point is being able to answer the question, who am I? And of course, you can be sure in our conversation here, psychoeducation, we will get to understanding that also. We will get to know, how do I know me?
Fantastic. So, once again, what we are hearing from you, Madam K, is understand the root. Get to understand the root so that you can actually deal with the issue at hand. I see somebody has actually given us a comment or a question. It's a question. Does a mentally well person need to have a psychologist or therapist?
And we are not, allow me to answer this question by saying we are not looking, we are not campaigning for ourselves because we are psychologists. But if I were me,
Yes.
I would tell me to see a
Yes.
psychologist.
Okay.
If I were me, I would tell me to see a psychologist.
Uh-huh.
You may not really be having a problem per se. We don't see psychologists because we have problems. Sometimes you may just need a psychologist to help you arrange your life. You may need a psychologist to just help you organize your life. You may just need to go sit and talk to someone who can be able to, without judgment, be able to tell you, this is what I see in you. These are some of your weaknesses. These are some of your strengths. So we don't only see a psychologist because we are sick.
If you were you would tell you to find a therapist.
Yes.
Yes, just for the sake of actually getting some kind of organization and maybe just to help you understand better what you are dealing with. Sometimes our stressors are not something that we can deal with by ourselves. We might
So
just
that, Emmy, we stop living this life. And I feel like it's a very average life of everything we are asked. Emmy, what happened to you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Why did you do the? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
You
Yeah.
cannot live such a life. We need to move out of that place of not understanding why things happened to us today in the morning. Why did you wake up so late? I don't know. Why didn't
Yeah.
you sleep? I don't know. Why is it that you cannot finish your work on time? I don't know.
Which is a very common answer, by the way. How you
Yes,
feeling?
very
I don't
common,
know. Yeah.
and it is very genuine. We really
Mm.
don't know because
Yeah.
we have so much clouded in our mind that we cannot really identify this is it. So self-awareness helps us to identify the root.
Mm. Wow.
So
And
that like
something,
when I am relating with people, I'm not passing blame to people. I can be able to pass a blame on me
to
and
take
say this
responsibility.
relationship broke because of me. This is how I reacted, and this is what caused our relationship to break. This is how I used my money because I was feeling bad about myself. So I went and bought chocolate, or I bought ice cream, 3 kgs of ice cream, and I ate it in 3 days. That is how I used my money. And it is wrong. I'm also able to tell myself it is wrong.
You are
Or I am
touching the
having
mountain.
diabetes because I have been eating too much cake. Because I am I am nursing my emotions by eating.
Mm.
Not saying I don't know why I eat too much chocolate.
Yeah.
When you know very well you like chocolate when you are stressed. Let me not get there.
Yes, you're beginning to touch a mountain and we are not ready for you, okay? I think we are just about to close, but we have one other question that has been written to us. This is a very interesting question. Why is it after going through a traumatic experience and one has sought healing, one tends to feel like they want to go back to the hurting self at times? Mm.
Remember when you are familiar with something,
Yeah.
you like that space, whether it is painful or not.
Mm.
Anything we are familiar with, that is what we want. Humans don't like change,
Yeah.
whether it is good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes because of the fear of the unknown, even the unknown of the good, we want to go back to the place we are familiar with. And that is what sometimes we call relapse. Because this place is familiar.
Yeah.
This is what I am comfortable with. This is what I know best. So when we are self-aware, we will fight those emotions of wanting to go back,
Mm-hmm.
because the goal of being healed is greater than the desire to go back. I said the goal of getting healed is greater than the desire to go back from where we have been. That means then I must be having mental health goals. I must see the full picture. Remember when we talked about the house?
Yeah.
I might see the picture. I might ask myself, why is it that I need to heal so badly? Why is it that I want to get out of this bitterness so badly? Why is it that I want to get out of this trauma so badly? That goal is what will make me pay every price, including crying, because there is a lot of crying in the journey of healing. So I'll be willing to cry and cry it out. I will pay the price of that pain of detaching myself from the familiar.
Mm.
Mhm.
Hey, that one, that part. The goal to get better, hey, is bigger than the desire to go back to the familiar. Wow. I think these are just the little tidbits that I hope our marketing team is getting this, because these are some of the t-shirts that we are going to begin to print out as Salem consultants for holistic wellness. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Madam K. I think we have, oh, there's one more question. Maybe we have time for just one more question before we close. Okay. So the question is there a difference between having a bad day and having mental illness? Like you told us when you were teaching about the symptoms, you said that there are 5 or more, then you can tell that you have mental illness. So is there a day where there's just a really bad day and you're having some of these symptoms?
Allow me to use the example of me, who is a woman.
Yes.
There is a season where there is hormonal changes happening in my body that completely look like mental breakdown during ovulation. You will feel moody, you will feel low energy, you will be irritated, you will be mad, you will be, all those things will come.
Mm,
So you should be able to know yourself to the point that you can tell it is that season.
self-awareness.
Yes. So that
Mm,
when these episodes happen, you are able to tell this is what happens during this season.
mhm.
And we see it, stressors of life will come. Because you are mentally well does not mean that you will not meet a boss that is going to harass you tomorrow at work. So the question is, how will you react? And how you react is determined by the state of your mind.
Mm,
So I feel like self-awareness answers so much.
yeah.
So that I also know even when to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
If I am feeling irritated, if I am feeling down, if I am feeling unstable mentally, it is not time to talk.
Yeah.
I shut up. I'll talk tomorrow when I recover.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Hey, I think this self-awareness thing, it should be a part of this lesson plan. Mwalimu, please put that into consideration so that we can also begin to have the coping mechanisms to deal with these stressors of life, so that we can be able to maintain our mental wellness and our mental stability throughout the stressors and the issues that come up in life. So thank you so much, Madam K. I believe we have really gotten a rich lesson tonight, and we are really looking forward to what is coming next week, God willing, where we shall be talking about the various mental illnesses, because we know that in this time we really hear about bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, anorexia, and eating disorders. So we really want to hear whether what we've been knowing versus what we are seeing even on TV, and what we are watching is actually the state of things as it is in the psychological profession. So from me, I'm just going to hand it back over to you, Madam K. Once again, asante sana, and to everyone who has joined, feel free to bring even your friends next week so that we can get to learn more and more. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmy. I don't know whether we would get a comment from one of the listeners, and then we can call it a day. Anyone that is willing to have a comment on the same?
Hi everyone.
Hi.
So I have a comment. I'm not able to switch on my video because of network issues. I think I was listening through the talk and everything. I could see myself in various aspects, especially the me in part of 2022 and 2023, and through the journey of healing, I have learned to really the importance of self-awareness, and also not to underscore the need to have I will say a psychologist or a therapist, a professional in this field to work with me during these times. And I've loved the conversations. I can't wait to continue learning further. What I know is we learn every day. And maybe for anyone in this call, and maybe you've been there, one thing is you keep on learning. Sometimes you feel, oh my goodness, I can't believe I've been living a lie all this time. And sometimes it can really choke you. So there is also that aspect of, even when you're going through counseling and therapy and everything, to have a strong support system, not to be alone, because at times you may tend even to to think even of being suicidal rather than just waking up and dusting yourself and giving yourself another chance. So thank you so much, Salem Consultants, for this chance, and I hope you continue learning and growing to be the best versions that God ideally created us to be. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mary. Yes, the need for support. And allow me to put a disclaimer that even as we are doing all these awareness and mental wellness awareness, we are not teaching a condemnatory teachings. This is not meant to condemn you. When you listen to this information, use it in a direction of how can I correct this journey? Don't use it in a way of looking at yourself and imagining you are the worst creature on earth. These are things we have gone through ourselves. These are challenges we have faced. I talked about, I think I've given my example when I was talking about even the cycles we go through as women. I mean, you don't have to look at yourself and imagine now you're the worst of all. Even if you identify the things we have mentioned here, please don't hate on yourself. Thank you so much, Mary, for bringing that aspect. And I believe, and of course, if you find yourself struggling in that way, we are open. Feel free to contact us and we can be able to begin a journey with you to just be able to offer support in your journey towards mental wellness. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We meet next week, same time. That is from 8:30 to 9:30. We are really trusting that we'll be able to just use an hour, but I know it is an hour that is going to be transformative in our life. Of course, you can be able to share it with your friends. You can also share it on your timelines. And let's live this life to the fullest. Let us become the best version of ourselves because it is possible. God bless you so much and have a blessed night.